Yes people, welcome back to Brendan Pearson Fitness. Today I'm going to be running through briefly a little bit how to deal with patellar tendonitis. So it's something that I've suffered with for a long time. I've had surgery on my left patella. I've had numerous injections, everything you can think of under the sun. So I'm just going to run through how I kind of prepare for a leg session. So today we'll be running through a lower body squat dominant leg session, so putting a lot of stress on knee flexion, so putting a lot of stress on the patella. So I'm just going to run through some of the things that I go through, different stages to prepare and treat and manage my patellar tendonitis. So I've put 5 different stages, so 5 different components that we need to focus on. The first thing that we're going to start off with is mobilizing and releasing any sort of tension in the quads, especially quads, hips, calves. We'll run through that. Then we're going to go activate other muscles that we need to before going into a session to make sure that we're going to limit any sort of pain and everything's working how we want it to. We're going to build, so this is when we're going to lift some heavier weight. We're going to try and build some muscle to support around the patella and hopefully strengthen around that area. We're going to support, so again we're going to build up some muscle around certain areas, predominantly in the glutes and hamstrings, which will help support our knee in flexion and in when we're doing certain activities. And finally recover, so this goes down to foam rolling, mobility after training, and also getting proper nutrition in as well. But the main thing is we're going to run through a leg day, and I'm just going to show you how I warm up. Again, mobilize, release, activate, what I do in terms of strength training and what I'm doing at the minute, and just run you through it. So hopefully it can help you if you are at home and you suffer a little bit from tendonitis, and hopefully you can take some things away from it. But anyway, we'll start off with mobilize and release and get into it. Right, so first thing, like I said, we're gonna mobilize and release. So the first thing we're gonna do is release. 2 things that if you've got patellar tendonitis, everyone should be having: either a little massage ball, hockey ball, or lacrosse ball, anything, and foam rollers. So we're gonna release, especially around the quads, a little bit of calves, hamstrings, a little bit of glutes. Mainly the quads, just especially this VMO muscle, so the teardrop muscle. So if these muscles are really tight, there's a lot of tension there, you can put a lot of stress on the patella, pulling the patella tendon, causing the pain. So we're going to release them, starting down the IT band to the front of the hip and then more down the VMO. I'm going to use this just for the VMO. Let's get going. So, second thing we're going to do is, like I said, mobilize. So we're going to do a little bit of static stretching. Now, pre-exercise, I'm not a big believer in static stretching. However, if you do have an injury or any imbalances, I would recommend them. We are going to warm up a little bit more after this, so it's not really going to be an issue. So the first one we're going to do is going to be the couch stretch or wall stretch, I think some people call it. Just to release the quads and hip flexors, which again, they're tight, put a lot of pressure on the tendon. So all we're going to do is start with our back foot against the wall, toe pointed upwards. We want to try and drop our leg down all the way to the floor and try to get our knee as close to the wall as possible. So it's a difficult one to get into. Keep that toe pointed up, keep it as high as possible. And then from this position, I've just got this to stabilise me a little bit. We're just going to sit up as much as we can, trying to keep this glute squeezed, not let our lower back arch, and try and get our heel to our bum. So a little other thing to add, stretching out this muscle here, it's the tibialis anterior, which is the shin muscle. I've found that to help the knee pain as well, because that can, if that's tight, that can pull the patella the other way. So this just gets a little bit stretched down the tibialis anterior, then also a good stretch in the quads and the hip flexors. So just one set either side. If we lean forward more, it's a bit more hip flexor. If we lean back and get our heel to our bum, it's a bit more quad. So next stretch we're going to do, stretch the quads, hip flexors off. We're going to stretch off the calf, especially the lower calf, so the soleus. So if the soleus, this muscle here, gets really tight through running, most commonly if you're doing a lot of sort of sprinting stuff that a lot of athletes do. Then it can limit the range of motion of the knee over the toe, also known as ankle dorsiflexion. So if this muscle gets tight, you'll be limited to the amount of range of motion you can. Simple test for this is a knee to wall. So if you've got a wall here, start with your toe against the wall, lean forward, can you touch it? Yeah. Drop back. If you lean forward, can your knee touch the wall without this heel lifting off the floor, So starting off with that, all you want is to increase that range of motion slowly. So this will help when sprinting, when squatting especially. Squatting's the main thing, helping that dorsiflexion, that range of motion with that knee over the toe. So yeah, the stretch that we're going to do will stretch off the soleus, helping the knee be able to go over the toe more, which will alleviate a little bit of pressure from the tendon, stick it a little bit more on the glutes and hamstrings, which will help with the pain. So you don't need to put the band around the ankle, it just helps increase the range of motion. So what we're going to do is put this right in the gap between the foot and the ankle, step forward onto an elevated box, drive forward as much as you can. From here we're just going to go into a lunge position and try and sit into it and drive this knee far forward, put a little bit of pressure over the toe, and you should feel the stretch down almost to your Achilles and the bottom of your calf. So we're just going to drop back, lean forward, stretch it off for a second, drop back, lean forward. So after we've mobilised, after we've released a little bit of tension in the quads, we're just going to get warm now. So I like to do a 5-minute bike to start off with to get a lot of blood pumped around the quads especially. So make sure you set your bike up so with the bottom, your leg is near straight, so it's up nearly all the way out. Another good way to stretch off the calf is doing the bike, so really think about stretching that dorsiflexion, range of motion. Just a good way to get the legs warm. If you prefer cross trainer, do cross trainer, just anything, but I prefer to get the quads warm through the bike, get a lot of blood pumped in. 5 minutes, you should have a bit of a sweat on after this, but set my timer. We'll get going. Right, so activating drill number 1. We're going to do it in kind of like a circuit, so there's going to be 3 exercises that we're going to focus on. Do it in a circuit, do 2 or 3 rounds. So the first one's going to be terminal knee extensions. So grab a nice thick band, wrap it around whatever you have. And then from here, going to put the band around the back of the knee. Going to line your toes up nice and equally. Drive up onto one toe and extend, squeezing the quad, so you're working this VMO muscle. So this is great for knee stability. If you look at a lot of top athletes, they're going to have a big VMO muscle just to help with any knee stability. It'll help with a little bit of pain. So you want to build this muscle up. We're going to do 15 either side, drive up onto the toe, squeeze the quad, and swap the other side. So next what we're going to do is some glute activation, so glute medius activation with the lateral band walk. So you can do these, you can do monster walks, crab walks, forward shuffles, any sort of glute activation drill using a band just to get the glute medius muscle. So that muscle's big in hip stability, knee stability, anything like that. So get hammering these. So we're going to do 20 either way. So I'll probably do like 4 sets of 5 either direction. The glute should be burning quite a bit after this. So we'll get into it. So last little part of the activation warm-up, we're going to be doing some single leg decline eccentric only squats, so it's just on the lowering part. So these are one of the main things for tendonitis that are part of the rehab protocol. Eccentrics, the aim is to do a set of 15, but if you're just warming up, I'm just going to do a few sets, probably like 10 reps, nice and slow eccentrics, so about 4 or 5 seconds on the way down, and just pull yourself up. So you can either, if you've got a bench, you can go single leg down, sit down, double leg up, but what I'm going to do is use the TRX just to assist me up. If you don't have a decline board, don't worry, just do it normally, or you can stick a little plate. Any sort of elevation of the heel is absolutely fine, but a decline board has been proven to be the most beneficial way. So, start off. Leg out in front, control it as slow as you can, and then stand up. As you can see, my right side's quite sore today. If the decline board's too much, just drop down to normal single leg, or if you want, go double leg on the way down and then pull yourself up. It's just about building it up nice and easy, so we'll do a few sets, do another round of that, and then we'll get into the heavy work. So, moving on to the build section of the workout, which is where I want to build some muscle, especially in the quads and the VMO to start with. So 2 exercises which I'd recommend, single leg variations, would be the rear foot elevated split squat. So all you need is a bench. What you want to do is put your back foot flat on the bench, have your right foot forward, so you're almost squatting over this front leg. From here you want to drop your back left knee, so my right foot's forward, my left knee down to the ground, driving the right knee over the toe. So control it all the way down, as low as you can, drive up. So what I don't want to see is leaning back to the point where a lot of stress is on this front leg. Most of the weight is going to be through this right leg, so lean forward over it, squat down, and then drive up through this front leg. So that's one variation you can do. To start off with, you might need to go lighter just to build up the strength, but really focus on driving that knee over the toe. A second exercise which I would like you to work on is, like we did for the wall, the single leg squat. So if you can do a single leg squat normally, perfect. If not, control it down to the bench and then drive up. So there's the little 2 variations that you want to do. What I'm going to work on today, because I'm working a little bit heavier, is I'm going to be doing some front squats with a slight heel elevation, which you'll see in a second. So what I'm going to be working on is front squats. The reason I'm choosing front squats over a back squat is because it keeps you in that upright position. It also works a little bit more quads as there's more dorsiflexion, so that knee over toe movement to help strengthen the quads. So I'm also using a slight heel elevation, if you can see here, literally just about a centimetre, just to help with my ankle range of motion because it's limited. That can put a little bit of pressure on the patella. It's just the equivalent to wearing like a weightlifting shoe, as they've got a little bit of a heel elevation to get a little bit more depth and a little bit more dorsiflexion over the knee. So we're going to warm up, build up. I never really back squatted or front squat for a long time because it caused me a lot of pain. So I stuck to the single leg variations which I've showed you before. So stick to them. But when you do go on to compound movements, really focus on the slow eccentric, nice and controlled, and make sure that you're really focusing on contracting the quads and not just bouncing up and down. Slow control down pause and then build and drive up, sorry. So this is something that you might be able to do, you might not, but I would recommend single leg variations for anybody with patellar tendonitis, especially if it's on one side more than the other. So we'll just get warmed up. So just a little side note, in between sets while I'm building up, I'm going to be stretching off my ankle range of motion just because it's something that I want to work on, again to help alleviate any pressure in the patella. And also plyometric wise, I will try to limit as much plyometrics as you possibly can. Save it for your sport, save it for whatever else you do, just to give your tendon a little bit of time to recover, as plyometrics put a lot of stress on the patella. Just focus on building some muscle, nice slow control movement until the pain goes away. Right, so built up to my top set. I'm just doing a top set of 2, Double set there on. Top set 2. I'm not great at squatting, so it's only 97.5 kilos front squats. See if we can get a 2. Come on. I never felt like I needed to scream so loud in my life doing that. Got it though. Right, so next, this is something you might want to try at home. Isometric squats. So set the rack up to roughly parallel, maybe a little bit higher, depending on your knee pain. Stick just enough weight on so you can't lift it. And I want you to drive into the bar for 5 seconds, rest 5 to 10 seconds, and then repeat it again. So I'm doing 4 sets of 2 today. Our program went from 3 sets of 2. Went from 2 sets of 3. This week's 3 sets of 2, and the last week's 4 sets of 1. So it's an all-out push. So stick just enough weight on. Like I said, you should be able to just maybe move the bar. Not as much as you want. So isometrics have been proven to help tendonitis as well. So we'll try these out and see if I can lift it off. Just literally 2 5-second holds. Just enough. So just to finish off, we're going to finish off with an EMOM. So every minute and a minute we're going to do 5 front box squats. So front box squats, 5 reps every minute. So you'll have about 30 to 40 seconds depending on how quick it takes you to do 5 reps. Just got 80 kg on, we'll see what we're like. Just down to the box, touch the box, explode back up. Let's get it in. Right, so we're going to go into little single leg superset. So we're going to start off with the real fat elevated split squat. Again, really thinking about driving that knee over the toe. We're going to go 8 to 10 reps on this, and then over to the gym ball, which I'll show you. We're going to go single leg hamstring curl. Again, we'll see what we can get on that. So I'm just going to warm up, do a set body weight. We're going to do 4 rounds, first one body weight, and then we're going to add some weight into it. Start. So yeah, gym ball hamstring curl. You can either do double leg, so double leg would look like this. Start with the ball on the calves, drive the hips up, drive for the heels, toes pointing up to the ceiling, curl in, control back. But what we're going to go into is single leg. So same position, left knee's going to be upright, the right leg's working. Drive in, curl up, control down, curl up, control down. As you can see, my left leg's struggling a lot there. So what I'm just going to go into is single leg eccentric variation. So we're going to go up, eccentrically extend the leg, then drop it up with 2 legs. So you'll see what I mean. One little tip to put extra emphasis on the quad and specifically the patellar is to actually do it on your torso. Get a little elevated platform. You can get one a little bit higher than this, I'll demonstrate on my left side, I've just done it on my right. Grab your weight, so just have the ball of your foot and your toes resting on the inclined surface. So get your back foot on the bench. You might need to drop it back a little bit. And just make sure your heel isn't touching the ground. Putting all the weight on the ball of your foot, driving that weight over the toe, and then driving up. Oh. You can see it's a lot tougher, but it also strengthens your Achilles tendon. Oh, hamstring curl. Right, so that's the support aspect of the work, so a little bit higher rep stuff, a little bit more glute, a little bit more hamstring, and little exercises that you can use to build a little bit more muscle and also help support the knee. So eccentric hamstring strength is massive, so Nordic curls, eccentric hamstring curl, gym ball hamstring curls, great. So that's 3 rounds of that done, between 6 and 10 reps. I just did 5 on the eccentric because it's a little bit tougher. I'm going to do some calf raises, some Copenhagen's just for general rehab, and then I'll talk to you about the recovery aspect of training. So final little bit, once we've done our session, is just to make sure that we are foam rolling, doing our stretching, so do the same stretches that we started off with. The calf stretch against the wall, stretch off a little bit of dorsiflexion, foam roll the quads, glutes, hamstrings, anything that feels tight. And then in terms of post-workout, things you want to consider if you have tendonitis is tendon drink. It's by Soccer Supplement. I'll put a little picture of it on screen now. So I've been taking that for probably around a year now, just on days especially after doing leg sessions or any intense training days where I feel my tendon might be a little bit sore. I've been using that. It's collagen protein, glucosamine, HMB and vitamin C, I think. So they're good for tendon regeneration, a little bit of repair. So make sure you're getting plenty of protein in, plenty of meat in. Stay away from sugar, sweets, consuming too much caffeine can affect it as well. There's loads of different things, but if you'd like to hear more about it, let me know. I might do a podcast on it or just briefly touch on it in a podcast. But yeah, do your recovery, stretch off, and I hope that's helped you out. So I'm going to do my mobility now, get some food in me. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like. Remember to get subscribed if you haven't already. Click that button for more videos, weekly videos at least. Process Podcast is also a link in the bio. Plenty of good episodes out there. If there's anything else that you want me to cover, put it in the comments, drop me a message on Instagram, brendanpearsonfitness. And yeah, hope this has been helpful. So thank you very much for watching. Over and out.